Chapter 5 India that is Bharat Exploring Society India and Beyond for Class 6th NCERT. Chapter 5 India that is Bharat. Children, today we will explore a very special chapter India that is Bharat. When we hear the name India, we think of a modern country with clear boundaries, states, a government, and a known population. But this idea of India as a nation is quite recent. If we go back 500 years, 2000 years, or even 5000 years, the picture was very different. The land that we call India today, also referred to as the Indian subcontinent, has had many names throughout history, given by its own people as well as by travelers and foreigners. These names were not just labels, they carried with them stories, culture, and a sense of identity that connected people across time. Let us first look at how Indians themselves name their land. The oldest known text of India, the Rig Veda, written thousands of years ago, calls the northwestern part of the subcontinent Sapta Sindhava, meaning the land of 7 rivers. The word Sindhu referred to the mighty Indus River, but it also sometimes meant rivers in general. Later, in the great epic Mahabharata, many regions of India were mentioned by name. Kashmir, Kurukshetra, Vanga or Bengal, Pragya Jyotisha, which is today's Assam, Kachha or Kutch, Kerala, and many more. These names show that people in ancient times already had a wide awareness of the different regions of the subcontinent. But when did we find a name for the entire subcontinent? This is where the terms Bharatavarsha and Jambudvipa come in. The Mahabharata uses both terms, and scholars believe the text was composed from a few centuries BCE onwards. Bharatavarsha means the land of the Bharatas, a group of people mentioned in the Rig Veda and later the name of many kings. This term was used for the whole subcontinent. Jambudvipa literally means the island of the jamun or black plum tree, which is a tree native to India. The great emperor Ashoka, who ruled around 250 BCE, used the word Jambudvipa in his inscriptions to describe his empire which stretched across most of today's India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and even parts of Afghanistan. This tells us that Indians in ancient times thought of their land as one whole region with a shared identity. As centuries passed, Bharata or Bharat became the common name. In the Vishnu Purana, an ancient text, there is a famous verse. The land that lies north of the ocean and south of the snowy mountains is called Bharata. The snowy mountains are of course the Himalayas and the ocean is the Indian Ocean. This verse beautifully captures the geographical boundaries of India. Even in ancient Tamil literature, written nearly 2000 years ago, we find poems that describe India as stretching from Cape Kumari in the south to the great mountains in the north and between the seas on the east and west. Clearly, our ancestors had a clear idea of their land and its boundaries. Now let us see how foreigners referred to India. The Persians who lived in what is now Iran were among the first. In the 6th century BCE, a Persian emperor conquered the region around the Indus River. Since they pronounced Sindhu as Hindu in their language, they began to call the land Hind or Hindu. This did not mean religion in those days, but simply the land near the river Sindhu. Later, the Greeks, who also came into contact with India, adapted this Persian word into Indaoi or Indike, dropping the sound H since their language did not use it. From this, the word India eventually developed in Western languages. The Chinese also interacted with India and used words like Yindu and Tianju, all derived in some way from Sindhu. Tianju even carried a meaning like heavenly master, showing the respect that Chinese travelers had for India, especially as the land of the Buddha. Another important name that appeared later was Hindustan. It first shows up in a Persian inscription around 1800 years ago. Over time, many invaders and travelers used the word Hindustan to describe the Indian subcontinent. By now, children, you can see that the name India has traveled a long journey from Sindhu to Hindu to Indawe and then to India. But among all these names, Bharat has remained central. Even our modern constitution, written after independence, begins with the phrase India, that is Bharat. In Hindi, it is written as Bharat Arthat India. This shows that Bharat is not just an ancient name but continues to be the living identity of our country. Today, in North India, the name is usually spoken as Bharat, while in South India, people often say Bharatam. Both mean the same and carry the same pride of belonging. So, what do we learn from this journey of names? First, that India is an ancient land with a cultural and spiritual unity that goes back thousands of years. The names Saptasindhava, Jambudvipa, and Bharatavarsha show how Indians themselves imagine their land as a whole. The names given by foreigners, Hind, Indai, Yindu, Tyanju, and Hindustan, show how India was recognized and respected in many parts of the world. Each name tells us something about history, about how people saw India, and about how India presented itself to the world. Children, we must remember that a name is never just a word. It is a symbol of identity, belonging, and pride. That is why even today, when we stand to say our Constitution's preamble, we affirm India, that is Bharat. This continuity from ancient text to modern law shows the deep roots of our culture. It also tells us that people from all over the world have looked at India with interest, some for trade, some for conquest, some for learning, and some for spiritual growth. Chinese pilgrims came for Buddhism, Persian and Greek rulers came for power and resources, and Europeans came much later for trade and colonization. But throughout, the land remained Bharat, our motherland, with its rivers, mountains, oceans, and people bound together in unity.